Can you all feel the Christmas angels yet? Can you feel them in the room? All right. If you can't, just breathe. They're here. This is obviously a very important time for us, as David said. This is the basis of our faith and our belief as Christians. And so it's a very important time for us to come together in brotherhood and celebration. And you know that when two or more are gathered, the energy is exponentially magnified. And so just our coming together and opening our hearts, it makes the love palatable. It makes it something that you can actually feel moving into your body and your spirit. So remember that as you're gathering with your family and friends this holiday, and as you're leaving the church today to go about your Christmas celebrations, just thank somebody for bringing their light and being a part of your church family as well. Okay, so the message is very simple today. I, of course, always ask Spirit what needs to be shared. And I was asking God, what for this morning, because this is an important morning. This is our Christmas Sunday. This is the Sunday before Christmas. What could I share? And what message? And I did not have any idea. And the direction they took me was very not what I had expected. But I'm going to share it with you. I was in meditation. I was just feeling God, and I was just opening to be that channel. And in that state, I saw myself standing on a landing, watching the sunrise over a lake. And the Spirit said, "Do you remember this?" I said, "I remember this," but I had forgotten it. It was one of those moments that was way back in my consciousness that I'd totally forgotten about. And the feeling of it came forward, and I felt I was 31 years old, and I was fine. My life was fine. I had my little toddler running around. My pain was managed in life. My debt was managed. My work was managed. I was managing everything. Everything was managed. I was feeling so old, so very, very old. And I was a teacher of the teens in our metaphysical church that I attended, and so the teens had gone on a retreat. So I was with my little two boys. We had two teen boys that came every single Sunday, and I taught them every single Sunday. And took them to this retreat. I don't even know what state we were in. But that morning, after I'd spent the night, not chaperoning, just being a teacher, I remember going out because I had to talk to God. I had to be alone. And I remember just standing there saying, I have to surrender. I don't even know what I'm surrendering to, but I have to just surrender everything I am to your Spirit, God, to Spirit in me, to walking as your daughter, to being one with you. And it wasn't like, let me do this, I need to do that, I need to be healed from this. There was no asking of anything. It was just a moment where I just looked and cried and just said, God, I got to walk with you. I just got to walk with you. And in the meditation, this is what Spirit said. When they were speaking to me, they said, in that moment, I was there. In that moment, you set a vibration that you have even forgotten about that changed everything. It changed everything. Within 3 years, I was ordained. Inner Quest was started in November 1990. I've been a minister ever since. I had no idea what I was saying to God in that moment. And Spirit said, you need to realize in that moment, not only did your world change, but all the people that would come in contact with you. All the people you would talk to, all the people you would teach, all the people you would heal. Everything began to change. Everything began to change. And a new vibration started to go out, not only in your world, but in the world that would interact with you. And you couldn't see it then, but you can see now. It took that moment. And I was humbled and so aware because that moment was completely forgotten within me. And they said, now think about Jesus. Think about how this being of light came. And you know, when I took that light into my personal life, it impacted all that I would come in contact with. He brought a light into race consciousness. He brought this light into the body of race consciousness in a moment. He came and brought it to earth. And the ripple began then. The ripple going out through the consciousness of man began in that moment. Everything changed. All the people he would see were prepared. Everything that he would do, all the healings, all the teachings, everything was beginning to come into motion. Do you feel it? What if he had not come? It would have stayed. But that drop of divinity that entered the earth plane began to ripple through the race. And they said there was a brilliant light of pure God love entered the realm. Silent to most, but the effect was there. His birth brought a higher frequency and set events into motion that we are still experiencing today. The greater light coming to the body of the race. And I wanted to share with you in Jesus Teacher Healer, this is on page 15 in my book. We are thinking of the Master Jesus, whose last incarnation you will celebrate at Christmas. We cannot adequately paint in words a picture of his glory, his gentle and gracious spirit. Jesus the Master was much older than this earth. He had been through experiences of a very exalted nature in preparation for his mission, the full power and implication of which is yet to be realized by people on earth. He was a pure soul who unfolded the inner glory. He came from the highest heaven to this earth plane, step by step, and took upon himself various forms, bodies. All of his incarnations were leading up to the appointed time when he would take the great incarnation which would radiate light and blessing, the Christ manifested in greater degree than it ever had manifested through any other teacher or master. This was the culmination of the Christ power which was and is to flood earth and all mankind. Jesus changed everything. Imagine the vibration of race consciousness being impinged with pure light. I know that all of you have had an experience like I had. I know that everyone has had a moment where you said, I have to be different. And I know that many of you have forgotten it like I did. When we look to the moment that Jesus came, we can literally see the magic of God love affecting mankind. When we look to that moment, it activates within us all those magical moments that we have had, that set into motion a higher vibration for our lives. I often speak of the shepherds and the wise men when I talk about Christmas because I happen to love the shepherds and the wise men. And why do I love them? Because the shepherds were dudes just doing their job. They were on the hillside. They were nobody special. They were just doing their job. But they had a heart. They had an openness. They loved God. Of all the people in all the kingdoms of Bethlehem and all the world, who heard the angels sing? The shepherds. People in the city didn't hear it. It was the shepherds. It was those that were just showing up, doing life with an open heart to God. And I love the wise men. The wise men used their skill, and they knew astrologically something was happening, and they knew it. The journey from Persia to Bethlehem is not an overnight trip. It takes months to make that journey. And their brotherhood knew of this. They saw the star, and they planned, and they brought gifts, and they made the journey in a faith, in trusting the intuition and the knowledge of what they saw in the skies. The wise man acted on their guidance to be there at that moment. I love that both levels of consciousness, the poor working guy and the scientists, both showed up for Jesus' birth. Everyone was ready. And I wanted to share with you, they went home, these people. They saw him. They felt the vibration. They saw the angels, and they went home Do you think their lives were changed? Their lives were probably impacted tremendously. But it took many years before they saw the impact of what they knew was going to happen. Jesus was a baby. He started his ministry in the foreign countries when he was around 14, 15, 16. It took years. But I wanted to share with you in chapter 38, Jesus is coming home from having been in other countries learning and teaching. And it says that he was moving through Persia. The three wise men's names were Hor, Lun, and Myrrh. Jesus is 24 years old. And these wise men, they were one of the three that were the first to honor him. These wise men knew, by ways that masters always know, that Jesus was nearing their town. And they went to meet him. When they met, a light much brighter than the light of day surrounded them, and men who saw the four stand declared they were transfigured, seeming more like gods than men. And Hor and Lun were old, and Jesus put them on his beast to ride all the way to the city, and he and Myrrh walked ahead of them. Jesus, the 24-year-old young man, recognized the masters, loved the masters, knew they had seen everything, and he honored them as they went to the space, their home. Jesus told them the story of his life, and they listened and did not speak a word, and in their hearts they praised God. They got to see the effects of that moment. Jesus closed the circle with them. And then when he was 30, that was when he was 24. When he was 30 years old, in chapter 76, Jesus goes back to Bethlehem. And it says that many people followed him, and he went and found the shepherd's home where he had been cared for after he was born. And he went to the hills where the angels had appeared, and he saw shepherds tending their sheep there. And people had heard of him at this point. He's 30 years old. He's been doing his ministry in Israel for a while, and everyone came to hear him speak. And Jesus said, "Behold the life of innocence and peace, the symbol of the virtuous and pure in the Lamb of innocence and the dove of peace. It was right that human love should come amid forms like these." And then he taught them about love. And it does not say whether any of the original shepherds were still alive, but we know their families were. We know their children probably saw Jesus. They were probably still doing the same job they've always done. Jesus closed the circle, and the shepherds got to see the impact. And they knew the meaning of what had happened. Every Christmas brings opportunities for each of us to see the impact of Jesus. We've been here 2,000 years. And I want you to think about the message that he brought. He connected us with the divine love of Father, Mother, God, and his message was love. Just love. We can look back historically on the last 2,000 years, and we can say that Christendom has made mistakes and been unloving and fear-based, and yes, it's all true. But the presence of Jesus Christ and his impact and his vibration on this planet has never altered. His vibration has always been that of love. And it doesn't matter what faith we have been, anyone who turns to that vibration, anyone who turns to him, who he is, what he represented, they will be met with love. They won't be met with a rule book. There won't be rules thrown at them. There won't be condemnation at them. There will be simply love. His vibration has lived for 2,000 years on this planet. And it has gone deep into our subconscious minds. And I believe that we're at the point where we can actually begin to see the effect. In our country alone, we fight and bicker like kids, don't we? We pick on each other and we criticize each other. We're just like, oh my goodness. But if something happens and there is a need, we're all right there together. All differences are set aside. It's like the more happy we are, the more we bicker with each other. Maybe we could learn to set aside those differences in all ways. But at least we can see that, can't we? At least we can see the vibration of the love of God coming through us. When anyone that you know crosses to the other side and their family is grieving, I don't care what faith they are, what do? You send them love. You care for them. You pray your prayer. They may not even be Christian, but you ask Jesus to go help their family. You pray your prayer. We are rapidly becoming the expression of the impact. And that is what I see. We are rapidly becoming aware of the necessity for love to dominate in all things. And I think we're getting it. I think we're finally getting it. It may be a couple more years. It may be a couple 100 years. But there will come a time when we'll all gather and say, wow, what an awesome thing that was when Jesus came and brought the light, and now we have risen to a higher realm. I wanted to share this out of The Best of White Eagle, page 137. We come to you to help you expand your consciousness to the world of light, which is interpenetrating your physical world. It is a mistake to separate the levels of life by saying we are down here and spirit world is up there. We want you to all grow in consciousness of this interpretation of the higher worlds. We say higher world not because they are apart from you, but they are worlds of light. They are not to be found in the dense material consciousness. They are instantly to be found when you open yourself to love. So the world and consciousness that Jesus was bringing is all around us all the time. We just have to open to listen and open in that consciousness of love. I am very grateful that somebody decided to celebrate Christmas. I am very grateful. And it didn't happen until many years after, probably several hundred years. And someone said, let's celebrate the day Jesus was born. And I love that because it allows us to truly honor that moment of impact, that moment of impact. And when you feel that, you are literally taken into that experience of the receptivity of the divine, because we had to be receptive for it to happen. And when Christmas comes, don't you feel that receptivity? We are opening once again to God, divine guidance, to truth in a higher way, and to brotherhood, because we're remembering that original moment, that moment of impact. The Christmas angels are always close. They come very close during this time of year. And every time we remember that moment, the beginning, it takes us into greater awareness of the impact. When we remember the beginning, it allows us to touch our own beginnings. And one day we'll see our impact as well. But for today, let's just go within. And let's just center the feeling of God love in our hearts. It's Christmas. It's about Creator. Father, Mother God, we ask that this moment in time be the highest blessing for all that are here. And I would invite each one of you just to begin to feel a column of light being created over you. And let's welcome the Christmas angels into that column of light. Welcome their joy and their celebration. Feel them coming into that space. And feel your heart opening. You are a child of God. And as you feel this love, imagine you can sense or see Jesus Christ standing by your side. And just take his hand. Feel the connection. You are one as God's child, as Jesus, as God's Son. Feel the vibration of pure love moving through your heart now. And ask to just see God love moving through every cell of the physical body. Every cell of the emotional body. And every cell of the mental body. Feel yourself becoming bright. God love lives in me. And breathe and let the energy move out to impact your world. See the light getting strong around you. And let your eye go overhead and see a beautiful star. As Jesus just points to the star. The beautiful star is the truth of your being. The home of your heart. And take a breath and let yourself move into that star now. Just effortlessly fly into the star. And feel your heart expanding. Nearer than hands and feet, the love of God is in you now. And breathe and let your awareness come back to this column of light. But feel that you are richer. Feel God love in you. Let your focus now come to your physical body as it sits in the chair. Feel how delightful you are as a being. Feel the wonderful opportunities that lie before you on this earth. And Father, we ask that you bless each one, that they find that great peace and the joy of expressing your love in their world. I leave them in your care, God. And we are so very grateful. And Jesus Christ, we send our heart and our love for all that you continue to do for this planet. And we are so grateful. Thank you, God. And just begin to feel your body, feel your heightened frequency. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Did you make it to your star? You know you brought that back with you. It is my prayer for all of you and our traveling family, all of our family that's traveling, that you all feel that beautiful touch, personal to you, from God this Christmas, the greatest gift that you can have, that touch of Spirit. Say, yay, God. Yeah.